Hi, my name is Caitlin, and we're back with another Grizz Pens episode, this time on annotated bibliographies. So what exactly does your professor mean when they assign an annotated bibliography? It's actually pretty simple, so don't panic if you've been assigned one and you don't know what it is yet. An annotated bibliography is a way of showing proof of the exploration of sources through written analysis. And by analysis, we mean the exploration and the investigation of a source. We'll get more into analysis, how to effectively write annotations later in the video. But essentially, an annotated bibliography allows you to weave together the information in the sources and the main idea or question you're trying to answer as a writer and a researcher. So, why is an annotated bibliography important, and why would your professor assign you one? Writing an annotated bibliography allows you to engage with and understand the content of a source on a deeper level, which means you learn more and retain more about your topic. It can help you refine your research question, what's your common theme, what's your main topic, purpose. Writing an annotated bibliography also helps you to create or clarify your academic voice, meaning that they help to make you more knowledgeable in your discipline, as well as give you additional practice in writing with a scholarly tone. Lastly, an annotated bibliography is a good way to organize your thoughts and inform your reader about the different sources you found. You and your reader can find the necessary content of each source, encouraging you to refer back to the source or have the reader research further. It helps bring in different perspectives to build your argument by sorting through the most important points without having to reread entire articles. There are a couple things you should keep in mind when searching for sources. Know your research question. What kind of sources are you looking for? Journal articles, raw data, books? Is there a specific kind of source that will work best for your topic? Are there ones that don't? Make sure that all of your sources work together. You want sources to all tie back to your topic. However, sources that are too similar can inhibit new information. Including a source or two that is a counter argument to your stance can be a good way to make a more well-rounded topic. You could always consider implementing some non-traditional sources. Are there photos that would apply to your topic, a documentary, a film? These kind of sources are a good way to add some creativity to your bibliography and showcase the uniqueness of how media can influence research. However, be mindful of your professor's requirements. They may want you to only use peer-reviewed sources, for example. Another thing to make sure you keep in mind is whether your sources are credible. Who is the author? Are they an expert in the field? Are they affiliated with specific organizations? Also, notice when the source was published. Traditionally, it is viewed that sources published within the last 10 years are considered relevant. Is the source targeted at a specific audience? Is the audience too broad or too narrow? And does the author remain neutral throughout the source, or do they pick sides? Do they seem well informed? Also, note whether the source is coming from a .com website, which would mean it's coming from a commercial source. .edu or .gov might generally be better researched and less biased. Finding sources. Kresge Library's database is a great resource for finding interesting and scholarly articles and books. Since the search bar works best with terms and topics, exploring what types of articles come up in the database could aid into finding exactly what you want to be arguing. If you need more help with research, you should also check out our other GrizzPen YouTube video on research tips. Also, you can always come to the library and ask a librarian for help on how to look for sources. Kresge's librarians are very well informed and trained to help with research. If you need help with brainstorming topics and checking the credibility of sources, you can also make an appointment with the OU Writing Center. Okay, now we move on to the annotations themselves. You need good sources to create good annotations, so you've already started the process. There are some different types of annotations, but generally annotations can be viewed as your notes on each source. The professor might ask you to cover certain things in your annotations, and they might be of varying length requirements. This is where different types of annotations can come into play. A summary annotation would mean you summarize up all the main points the author made in the source. You don't give your opinion on the topic or say anything about the author. You just cover the main points and important details. An informative annotation consists mostly of summarizing the main points that you would in a summary annotation, but includes a little bit of information about the author and the work that they do. It's especially important to use this annotation style if the author is a leading specialist or if their input provides credibility in of itself. In an indicative annotation, you don't summarize any actual information or data from the source. Instead, you just sum up the main issues or questions they've raised. This should be similar to the main issues and questions you're asking yourself throughout the research. A critical, or otherwise known as an evaluative annotation, would critique the work and explain if you think it is effective and helpful concerning your purpose or argument. This is particularly used to bring the source into what it means for you. The source might be a great, incredible source, but might not work for your research. Most annotated bibliographies call for a combination of all of these types, usually with a bit of summary, a bit of information, and a bit of evaluation. About a quarter of your total annotation should be about summarization of the source. Half of your annotation should be about evaluating the source, giving your thoughts on it, possibly criticizing it. And the last quarter should read a little bit like a conclusion, where you give any of your last thoughts that you have on the source. These are just possible suggestions and outlines. Use the information you find the most useful and present it throughout the annotation. Do keep in mind, though, that the general makeup of annotated bibliographies contains all three of these breakdowns. And make sure that your paragraphs are concise and not repetitive. Focus clearly on the source that you're talking about. Now that you have your sources and your annotations, it's time to put it on the page. This will be an extended reference citation included in the bibliography, and not the in-text citation commonly seen in the parentheses that you would see throughout your text. After each reference, you will add 1 to 3 paragraphs of annotation. Here's an example of formatting. As we can see, we have the standard APA reference citation at the top, and then a paragraph of summary and a paragraph of analysis. Also, make sure that your entire paragraphs are tabbed over and not just the first line. Before we go, here are some final tips to keep in mind while writing your annotated bibliography. 150 words seems to be the ideal length for each annotation. However, you can add much more if you want to be more in depth. This is your annotated bibliography. Allow your inner researcher to come out. One tip is to make the title of your annotated bibliography specific to your topic instead of writing bibliography across the top. This will keep you focused on your research. Remember, you probably want summary and analysis in your annotation, unless your professor tells you otherwise. And lastly, don't be afraid of more technical or complicated sources. Take notes and try to understand them to the best of your ability. As you work through your bibliography, you'll probably gain a better understanding of the material you're reading about, and therefore you can go back to those sources and actually understand them better. Make an appointment with us at the OU Writing Center for more help or templates for annotated bibliographies. You can make an appointment by finding our page on the OU website or calling us. Thanks for watching.